Captains. Denise Jonas here, and we are going to provide you with an update for those of you that were unable to attend the summer kickoff meeting for Fargo Course Captains. From this video, you will learn about opportunities to provide a positive environment for your teams with a warm welcome. What will the release days look like? The PLC schedule, goals for 24-25 in Fargo Public Schools, review of the PLC process, how 5 voices in action can make the most for your team, also information that impacts CTE that might be the differences between what we're focusing on for our goals because of Perkins results, how dual credit and NTHS can be a great way to promote your program, and then also advisory committees, the extravaganza, and some feedback we received from listening sessions. As you watch this video series, keep in mind that throughout the summer training, we had opportunities for table talk and team collaboration. Because this is an asynchronous experience, we would like you to be able to stop and reflect on what you learned. And we would also like you to be able to capture some of your ideas that we can use later as course captains. So please take a moment to stop, open your Google survey that was in your email, and be ready to answer questions along the way with this video. So for our first question, warm welcomes. What are the 3 positive things that have happened with your course-alike teams? Stop and take a moment to write down on a sticky note or a piece of paper and think about that for about 60 seconds. This is a strategy that you can use as you're meeting with your teams. Once in a while, we can start out maybe on a fast morning, we're having a tough day getting to work, maybe something interrupted us before we even jumped on. And people might feel a little bit nervous about the day or feel a little bit disjointed, or maybe they have something really great they want to celebrate. By focusing on something positive, and maybe it's 1 idea or maybe it's 3, it depends on how much time you have, but it's a great way to set your mind and create a positive conversation with your team before you even start any of the work for the day. So use this strategy to set the stage for your team and also just to learn about each other, whether that's from work or their personal lives. Please note your learning outcomes as you finish this asynchronous training. I can communicate our FPS and CTE, fulfill course captain expectations, facilitate the PLC Plus process. I can advance EBR through PLC. I can cultivate teamwork through 5 voices. I can connect with CTE leaders for support. And I can identify vertical partnership activities to promote CTE. A big thank you and shout out to all of the names on this list helping with course-alike activities this year for CTE. One of the things that sometimes can be shocking is that we have over 70 courses that are being worked on, and that we have Tuesdays and Thursdays that we meet for course-like teams with different courses, and this extends from the middle school to the high school. So from this list, there are a number of people helping to make a difference with the work with EBR and PLCs. So a big thank you to all of you who are stepping up to help out to make our work impactful. For those of you that are new to the course captain role potentially this year, you would have received an email from Dr. Hansen, who oversees the full course captain model and payout process. And you should have received a link to the course captain job description. In this case, we have one that we've specifically laid out related to CTE. And you'll notice that we're listing our CTE leaders on the top of it. So the director, curriculum coordinator, instructional coach, and business partner liaison. We have linked in here too, our course contract is the standards for high quality CTE. And so when you see the numbers behind for example, the director, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, those would be the standards related to high quality CTE. And so we did try to break those out so that we could have more support so you know who to go to when you have questions. As I stated, the district Director of Standards-Based Instruction, Dr. Leanne Hansen, sent out a communication to all course captains. If somebody may have missed that communication, please let us know. You can see that even though the formats are slightly different than the CTE job description, there are the same responsibilities, time working with curriculum, attending meetings, leading professional learning. Probably the biggest thing on this is the compensation section, that course captains will receive a $500 stipend, which is based on Appendix D, and that they are responsible for some hours of meetings. And we did some work in the summer for those that were able to attend, and then this asynchronous training is the additional hours to reflect on what we're doing with CTE Course Captains. And then also we will have a fall meeting and a spring meeting to provide any updates on what needs to happen with course captain leadership, or maybe some opportunities just to ask questions. So keep that in mind, and you'll receive maybe emails from myself or Dr. Hansen, but we're both trying to accomplish the same work. We just have a little bit of focus in CTE that sometimes looks different, and so then we've had some latitude to have some separate meetings as needed. So stay tuned, watch for your contract again, and also know that you'll be paid out in May. Some items that are really important for you to know about are just related to the budget and curriculum updates. Course captain stipends will be paid in May this year. In the past, sometimes they were paid each semester, but to help with the accounting practices, it was better for HR and payroll to be able to just pay out one sum at the end of the year. Also, curriculum textbook resources. Ryan is working to pull all the information together related to any curricular needs this fall and have that information ready by January. Our course captains are the leaders to help organize that, and he will have more information in upcoming slides. The supply budgets and equipment are information that I work with IDET to process. So as a director, I'm working to lay out the overall budget for the year and then work with individual teachers if there's questions on maybe some of the details, but then IDET really executes the supply orders and the requisitions and any additional help needed. So I think those are some important pieces. And also finally, equipment. We in Fargo Public Schools are really trying to get a handle on our inventory. And so whether that be machines or furniture, we work with Karen Hullerung at the Fargo DO to help organize that equipment. And then we also work with our IT folks if it's technology related, and that could be anywhere from a building net manager to the central office. Some items were approved for under Perkins, while others are general fund, and that's where I need to continue to keep information squared away. And in some instances, we've had we get delayed because Perkins approval for funds generally happens in about September. So we'll follow up with everyone based on our orders. And then the final piece with equipment is just really, are there any specific technology or electrical needs that may have to be in place before we can actually implement the new technology. So those are important pieces that we will be reaching out to course captains and also to individual teachers as needed. Fargo Public Schools is focused on strategic initiatives that are impactful and have results. And a tremendous amount of effort from Dr. Gandhi and the board, along with leaders across the district, over the past year and a half have been trying to tighten up what specific actions relate to strategic initiatives. And you will see that the values of Fargo Public School on the screen and also the initiatives. So if you could go to the survey and record your response, how does CTE support the FPS strategic plan? On this slide, you can see what work are we doing that aligns with FPS initiatives. On the right-hand side, you will see that we have about 8 items that really are tied to our strategic goals and initiatives in Fargo Public Schools. Language and reading and writing is very important with our technical skills and vocabulary. Obviously, the ability to communicate and reflect is important for us and our students' thinking and learning. The Career Ready Practices Big Five we are integrating across all of our curricular areas, some more than others when it comes to assessment, but many of them integrating, whether that's responsible employee, technical skills, communication, problem solving, and teamwork. EBR continues to be a focus for our work this year, and the goal is to have all courses completed so that there'll be common assessments in all classes that are implemented in 25-26 would be in the EBR grading format. We have instructional support for success, whether that's our leaders or our course captains. We're looking to you to help with any kind of instructional strategies that will help your team. And Heather Sinkler is working to be a coach for the captains and individual teachers as needed. Lana Feely is working with our business partnerships and work-based learning. And student leadership is happening with all of our advisors for co-curricular activities. Finally, public relations falls under my portfolio, and also our teachers, as you share the great stories and the impact that students are having with different projects in your classrooms. Finally, high quality operations. What can we do for efficiencies in the classroom? How can we be efficient with you as we work to order supplies and equipment? And what can we do to make sure that you have the resources needed to be successful as an educator? Beyond Fargo Public Schools' strategic initiatives and the data that they are collecting, CTE also has Perkins accountability reports that are monitored for students that are concentrators. Again, concentrators are students that have completed 2 or more credits in a pathway or a coordinated plan of study. Looking at this screen, you can see the columns are the statewide target, the actual performance level of the district, and then it's calculated meeting success is 90% of the statewide target. You also will notice on this slide and the next the categories of graduation, reading, and math. So please look at 1S1 for graduation. The statewide target is 93%. Of concentrators, there were 238. 236 graduated for a percent of 99.16%. If we looked at what 90% of the statewide target would be, that would be 83.90 of the 93%. So obviously, Fargo Public Schools has done very well with 99.16 of their students graduating. If we move down to 2S1, which is the reading standard, statewide target, 51%. Fargo Public Schools had 243 students, 100 concentrators, 117 met the goal. The statewide 90% target would be 46.57. So even though Fargo Public at 48.15 is less than the statewide target, it still is more than the 90% of the statewide target goal. So we too passed this, and this is up from 44.35. So we were on the not met over the last probably the last 5 years. And so it is up now, which is great. Note the same, if you look at math, you can read where we're at. We have been up and we've surpassed the state goal. So congratulations as you continue to focus on integrating these strategies within career and technical education. As you continue with this slide, you'll notice the categories that continue with Perkins accountability for science, placement at college or military, non-traditional participation, and work-based learning. All of these are important aspects of high quality CTE and focus on the results. So as you think about your curriculum, and Ryan presents the next slides on curriculum and EBR work for Fargo Public Schools, you'll want to keep in mind our focus for results, not only for the strategic initiatives for Fargo, but also for Perkins accountability.
Through the 24-25 school year, we will continue to develop our curriculum EBR model. Access to curriculum and supporting documents is through the CTE department link in the employee portal. Guidance documents can be found in the CTE EBR Process Documents button. Course curriculum can be found by using the Program Curriculum button. Access to these folders is also available through your shared drives in Google Drives. The course audit updates can be accessed by the link provided and also in the CTE EBR process documents in the website. Here you will find the progress on the documents needed to provide the tools to assess using EBR. As a CTE team, we have developed this process to ensure we are meeting the goals of curriculum and EBR per district and CTE goals. Release days for curriculum writing have been determined and can be found in the course audit document by selecting the Implementation Fall 25 tab. Invites and locations are being sent through Outlook. Please contact the CTE coordinator with any questions regarding release days. For the textbook review cycle, we will be focusing on courses identified in the 25-26 column. Course captains should guide the process of identifying potential resources and discussing which resource will be chosen with their PLC groups. A decision on course resources should be made by January 15th. Please work with the CTE coordinator on procuring resources for review and any other questions.
Wow, what a great photo and opportunity we had to get together for professional learning and collaboration when we kicked off the school year. It's so great to see everyone and their big smiles on this page, and also just to show everyone the impact that career and technical education has middle school to high school. Our leadership team will continue to support you. Ryan with curriculum and resources materials, Heather Sinkler with instructional strategies and items related to National Technical Honor Society. Lana Feely will be working with advisory committees and work-based learning experiences. Andy Dolan will be working with Choice Ready and coordinated plan supports. Idette will be working with business operations and supports right at the phone, and purchase orders and all other things with inventory. And then I will be working to help support all the team, overseeing our high quality CTE programming and budgets, and working as a liaison with our principals and district leader teams. So thanks everyone for your hard work and your collaboration this year. As a course captain, there's one site that can be very helpful to you as a landing page. I know that you have so many resources that you are pulling from, whether it's at the building level or from the district. And so what we do try to do is put things very specific to career and technical education on the employee portal on our CTE department page. You'll notice we have spotlight news, our new teachers that were hired this year so that we can communicate that throughout the summer. We also have important professional learning dates that I would like you to make sure that you're aware of. We had our kickoff day, and we will be having a course captain teams meeting on October 2nd from 7:50 to 8:30. And this is just to add any additional items for all of our course captains that are needed to be updated or else to answer questions. Keep in tune to this page. Ryan will also be posting all of the curriculum writing days for EBR as well. This is also the place that you go to put in requisitions for the 2024-25 school year. Off to the right, you'll see that we have documents that we put out on this site as well, like master schedules for all the schools, past advisory committee information, current advisory committee information. So hopefully this will help you out as a course captain.
I'm Heather Sinkler, the CTRE for Fargo Public Schools. I'm going to share about course captain expectations. One of our goals for CTE Course Captains is to grow your leadership capacity. We plan to accomplish this through training such as this and using the 5 Voices personality assessment and tools, which Denise will get into in just a few moments. We will talk about expectations for course captains in regard to leading PLC meetings. And as a review, Denise already talked about this, but the course captain job description is linked below. Course-alike groups were confirmed during the back-to-school PD time. I have updated the district-wide PLC spreadsheet with meeting groups and dates. If you could just review this for accuracy and then also send a meeting link to me, I will add that to the spreadsheet so that all of the CTE leaders have access as needed to visit your PLCs. If you're having trouble locating your group, please review the tabs at the bottom of the spreadsheet. There's separate tabs for CTE, high school, middle school, and first semester, second semester. PLC time is limited, and yet when we add it all up, we have about 35 hours with our course-alike groups and 51 hours when you add in training time and our early outs. Having an agenda for each meeting with goals identified for what should be accomplished can be a huge benefit to productivity. If you would like help in planning agenda items or goals, please reach out. I'm happy to help with that. This year we will continue to have early outs. There's a calendar linked below that lists these dates, but they're broken up throughout the school year in October, December, February, and March. This is course-alike professional learning time. If you want help with determining what you should be working on, this is something that we can also assist you with. When it comes to having productive PLCs, planning is key, and it's never too late to establish or reestablish group norms to ensure that every voice is heard and that your time together accomplishes your common goals. Some things that you might want to think about in order to create productive and successful PLC meetings include having a consistent agenda form. Linked on this slide is a suggested PLC agenda that you can use for planning your meeting and then storing your notes. This is a suggestion. Your administration at the building level may also have an agenda form that they would like you to use. So please follow whichever guidance is most useful to you. Ensure that you have a consistent department location to save notes and information so that everyone has access. Ensure that there's norms for operations. What is the expectation for beginning and ending times? Who is the note taker? Who is the timekeeper? And ensure that every voice is heard in your PLC group. At the closing of each meeting, it's a good idea to assess whether or not your goals were met and set goals for your next time together. And then finally, a question to think about in planning your agendas is to determine if the meeting is focused on evidence of student learning, as that is our primary focus for PLC work.
As a course captain, there's more to the work than just the curriculum, resources, and the meetings. There really is a sense of community that happens within your team. And as a course captain, that can be really fun, and sometimes it can be sometimes even challenging when maybe topics are somewhat different, our philosophies are different, and you're trying to learn something new or navigate new ideas, new people, new personalities. And one of the areas that Fargo Public Schools has really focused on is leaning into the 5 voices and having people really think about what they do as a leader. And so what we're going to ask you to do is to jump into the new 5 Voices assessment and complete your assessment again. We know that some of you have completed this process, but also we've recognized that as people grow and learn, maybe their voice might have a tendency to change because of their perspectives or their growth. So what we want you to do is take that survey, and I'll walk you through that process on the new site. To get started with the new 5 Voices assessment, please go to www.giantworldwide.com. And you'll notice up on the upper part of the web browser, it will say Login. From here, you will be able to either log in to your account from previous, or you will be able to create a new account. On this slide, you can see now that you've created your account or logged in, you will have the opportunity to complete the assessment. So click on Continue with Assessment. The questions are around 80 questions and it takes people around 15 minutes. So please start the assessment and you'll be able to record your primary voice in the survey reflection. So why the 5 voices? Part of it is just to get to know yourself. If you know your primary voice, the tendencies, what your strengths are, what maybe opportunities you have for growth, it can help you as you navigate your team. Also, knowing your team's 5 voices can help you understand what their tendencies are and patterns. And so as you navigate the work together, you'll know how you can listen, lean in, and actually work together because of the differences or the similarities in your 5 voices. With the 5 voices, you'll notice that there are different levels of voices. You can see the 5 voices from the nurturer to the pioneer, connector, guardian, and creative. The volume of the voices just kind of reflects maybe that person that has a tendency to be a quieter voice. And as you're working through your group work, maybe they do not respond or they need more time to think through before they communicate verbally to you. There might be other voices that you hear them all the time. And so that can sometimes put a damper on things or really help you move forward. So note the different volume levels, the pioneer being the loudest, then the connector, then the guardian, then the creative, then the nurturer, and think about that as you work with your team. You'll also notice on this chart that some of the voices can have some conflicting volumes with each other. If you look at the screen, the decision making at the top is very people and values oriented, where decision making at the bottom of the chart is systems and logic. If you look to the left, it's process present orientated, and to the right is processing future orientated. So for somebody like me as a connector, I'm thinking about the future and how I can create that, but I really am thinking about that in relation to the people and values that I have or I want to work with. Well, I might see my nemesis voice is a guardian. This is somebody who I can maybe work well with, but their thinking is very decision making on systems and logistics and what's going to happen now. And with those 2 voices, they can work well together. At times they can be in conflict with each other. So you just need to understand the tendencies for each of those and what they're trying to accomplish. And this will help you navigate the team members and your department and our CTE as a whole. So how might your primary voice impact team dynamics as a course captain? Again, we talked a little bit about how those interactions from just the tendencies. So a strategy might be to use the rules of engagement diagram to help think about engaging your team members in discussions. Knowing that the nurturer is a quieter voice, you might say that you'll start with the nurturers today or the creatives, then work to the guardians, connectors, and pioneers. This will allow the nurturer some time to have the floor to provide feedback. Now that could be a strategy for one day, and maybe you'll change it up and on another day you'll start with the guardian or the pioneer. But just having the voice order will allow you to think about a protocol to ensure that everyone's voice is integrated into your conversations when you're doing course-alike work or department work or PLC conversations or whatever activity you're working on as a team. I have shared this slide before, and I just want to reiterate that team leaders are critical to the work that's happening in Fargo Public Schools. There are so many amazing educators with talent, and your work in the field at the grassroots level makes the difference. And so please recognize how much we appreciate your course captain leadership, how much you inspire those around you and us as leaders. And we want you to know that you can define the culture of your work and your team just purely by the work that you're doing and the mindset you bring to the table. So if you need help, please reach out. If you're feeling frustrated and need support, let us know. What we want you to know is that we do see and hear you, and we want you to be a big part of our team in making Fargo Public Schools a success.
Your CTE leader team wants to ensure that you have the support you need for successful PLCs. On this slide, we have listed all of the content area groups that we will each be focused on during PLC time. If you could please ensure that your team's meeting link has been shared so that we can join your meetings as needed, that would be extremely helpful. You can email your team's links to me, and I will place those on the district-wide PLC spreadsheet so that everyone has access to it.
So now that you have had the opportunity to complete the self-assessment and you know your primary voice, please go to the survey and continue to fill out your reflection and what characteristics did you learn or do you know about your primary voice. How can you use your primary voice to contribute to building relationships with your PLC, your department, or your CTE team? And then finally, based on your primary voice, what characteristics will you monitor over the PLC cycle to positively contribute to your team? As you think about your 5 voices and the PLC Plus process, one piece of information that I think I would just really like to share out with you is some work that I've done with revolutionizing teamwork and how to create and lead accountable teams. And in this small resource, it was very fascinating to think about how you can revolutionize teamwork. And when you look at the screen, you can read these, but I will read them out loud as well. Is no behavior is more destructive to teams than talking about real issues without the people that are affected. And this can happen quite often because most of the work that you are doing is in what I would call asynchronous mode, or you're not in the same building because you are doing your meetings over Teams. So please think about how you can really go to the source when you have an issue. If that's with a leader like myself and you have questions, come to me, email me, call me. If it's maybe a colleague, whether that's somebody in your building or in your course alike in another building, go to the source and just really try to work through the problem with them. Talking negatively about somebody behind their back contributes to untrustworthy behavior. If you're seeking help, I think there's always an important piece to look for professional feedback and not attack the person in that moment as well. Also thinking about if teams are going behind each other's back, it reduces the ability to effectively work through the issues because you just don't have the person critical to solving the problem in the discussion. Justification, sometimes to gain an understanding or additional data before confronting the issue, maybe to validate your thoughts. Maybe you want to reach out to Ryan in curriculum or Heather when it comes to instructional strategies, or Denise when it comes to some purchasing or budgeting ideas, or when it comes to Choice Ready, Mr. Dolan, or when it comes to work-based learning, Lana Feely, or when it comes to a process with operations, IDET. But again, keeping in mind that it's about the process and the problem and not the person. Discussing issues in subgroups really preempts the team's ability to effectively work through real issues together in a healthy manner. So really always try to think about what you can do to go to the source and work through any kind of issues with your team members first. A few other tips that I learned that might be helpful to you as well is not speaking for yourself. If others are speaking on your behalf, that could convey miscommunication. So try to reflect and communicate your celebrations or your problems with others. Speaking in pronouns, when you say we, they, or our versus I, sometimes it can imply that it's more than your concern. So always think about, is this really my concern, and just staying to first person. Also asking a question when it's actually not a question. Sometimes there's ways that you can be passive aggressive in that approach. So think about, what's my real question when I'm trying to solve a problem, and what am I really trying to accomplish? Write that question out. That might be helpful to you. And ask team members for real questions or statements, again, versus assumptions. Just a few small tips that might help you as you're working as a course captain. During our May listening sessions, one of the conversations that was really a exciting conversation between our teachers was the idea of cross-building conversations that we do with course captains, but also building from middle school to high school, and the ability to reach out across the classrooms and do even a cross-discipline or interdiscipline activity. And so one of the things we really would like to focus on is, how can we help you connect to your middle school colleagues? And the question was, how can we increase vertical and interdisciplinary collaboration to strengthen CTE awareness? You might have a project that would be great. I know at Davies High School we had some FACS and construction teachers working together, or maybe at South we had a science teacher and engineering teacher working together. How can we also really intentionally maybe have students from our high schools maybe go down and share an activity with our students at the middle school? This would be a great way to market your program at the high school level, and also just really inspire the next group of students to take your classes. We also have the opportunity to do post-secondary vertical alignment. And what does that look like for dual credit? Now, we know that some courses aren't eligible to be dual credit, but there's others that would be. So can we take advantage of that? Not all students are eligible for dual credit. Not all students can afford dual credit. But if there's an opportunity to at least look at that curriculum, would that be a way for our juniors and seniors to stay in high school and participate with dual credit at a cheaper rate? So things to think about. Our advisory committees are always a big part of our discussion, and the advisory extravaganza that is set for October 23rd will be another great place for us to make connections for relevant partnerships and conversations. And then finally, across our Cass County group, we have CTE teachers in Fargo, West Fargo, Northern Cass, Central Cass, and Kindred, and also in our post-secondary environments, that just being able to sit down and have a beverage and an appetizer to share some stories at the end of the year is a great way to celebrate. So mark your calendar. A little deeper dive into advisory committees. Please make sure that you submit your fall meeting minutes, your spring meeting minutes, and your committee member form. These are required for us to receive any reimbursement from the state. Again, email Lana. Also, just note this on your calendar. We are planning an advisory committee extravaganza for fall. This will be a full group connection with not only Fargo advisory committees, but also West Fargo. And we're looking to start this event at 4:30 with a networking session until 5, which would give people time to travel from their businesses and schools. And we'll locate at South High School. And then we will do some group share out and then breakouts by department. More to come on the details for this event, but just mark your calendar and know we're in the works planning this event for next fall for our fall meeting minutes for all groups. As we wrap up this asynchronous kickoff, please note we still have many conversations to be had as we work to grow and learn and share ideas. But we wanted to kick you off with some of the things that happened in July when we were getting ready for the year. We also want you to know that with the expectations of course captain pay, that there will be a fall meeting and a spring meeting to keep everyone informed as much as we can, and also to have you have an opportunity to ask questions. So please complete the survey link for this asynchronous training. First, to do some reflection, and secondly, to give us feedback. So check out the link, mark your calendar for October 2nd, and you will receive an Outlook invitation that will also be put a placeholder on your calendar so you know that we are going to be meeting. Thank you everyone for your time. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for all that you're doing for your departments and career and technical education. We are immensely grateful. Have a wonderful year.